And they're like, where's the motor? Is that coming? And I pull out this cardboard box full of used pistons. I'm like, here it is. And they're like, seriously? So I've got this 77 Toyota Hilux. It's got a turbocharged 5.3 liter in it, wide body, sitting on Crown Vic suspension. It's like 9 inches wider on each side. It's radical looking. It's gained a whole bunch of attention from a bunch of media outlets, some television shows. It ended up getting invited to participate in an episode of Fastest Car on Netflix. And it's kind of a cool show where there's 4 cars that race at once in a 4 wide drag race. And it's 3 sleeper cars and 1 supercar. It's really a docuseries on people around cars, but it's like the people's story and the journey. You're not supposed to know who you're racing. That's supposed to be a big secret. But what the purple hair Southern California filmmakers don't realize is that they're making a show about a tiny community and everyone knows everyone. So when I found out I was accepted onto the show, I started figuring out who I was going to race. And I found out that I was racing Lyle Barnett, which is like all-star. He's like the best of the best. I'm like, man, I need a lot more car. I just had like a 500-600 horse Toyota pickup. And it was on leaf springs, not a drag car, that's for sure. It was just a cool party car. So I'm walking around PRI and I was looking for marketing partners and people to help me like compete in this show. And then I met Lyle and I saw the car and he had no idea who I was. I got a bunch of data, like how much power is he making? What's he running for times? Is that prep? No prep? Like I got all the info I needed and I went, oh man, I need twice the truck. So there was a little bit of panic. Network television generally like strings you along and gives you the least amount of information. And then at the last minute, they say jump. So I had 9 days to basically build an entirely new truck. You know, I 4-linked it, or we put ladder bars in the back on adjustable coilovers. I ended up taking the single turbo off, going twin turbos, air to water intercooler. We had a built 4L85E put in it. I went right through it. We put a fuel cell in the back. I built an intercooler system where I built a 9-gallon water reservoir tank that had 2 chambers. Between the 2 chambers, I had a AC evaporator core. So you could get sub-freezing intercooler temperatures and a 9-gallon battery of cold energy. So there was 9 days to build this thing, and I stripped it right down to the frame and built almost every single piece of it all over again. And I got like 2.5 hours of sleep every single night. And it was nothing but thrash. It was just a little nap, wake up, stuff food, and then crush again. It was incredibly difficult, and I didn't think I could sustain that level of sleep deprivation and still have any clarity in my cognitive function. But I continued, and everything seemed fine. I'm in New Hampshire. The race had to be done in Greenville, South Carolina. I had to trailer this truck down to Tick Performance in Mount Airy, North Carolina to get it dyno tuned. It's last minute. The tuner that was going to do it up in New Hampshire can't do it. I throw it on a trailer and I drive straight through the night, no sleep. So now I'm on 9 days of 2.5 hours of sleep a night. I'm not sleeping at all because I need to drive straight through and make it to Tick so that I can get this thing tuned. We get there early morning, late morning, and we load the thing on the dyno. Very first pull, it makes 800 wheel horse. I'm like, okay, I've got something now. We pulled 3-4 times. We made 850 wheel horse and then bent all 8 rods. And so I didn't get this thing inspected. It had to be like NASA inspected, make sure that it was going to be safe for use. And I couldn't get it inspected up in New Hampshire because the guy didn't understand that this was a single pass on a TV show. He was like looking, he's like, your bushings look a little shady. And I'm like, dude, this is just sign the stupid paper so I can go race this thing. He didn't understand the responsibilities there, so he didn't do it. I was like, can I use some of your shop space and maybe like come and do the help of a guy or two? And he was like, listen, man, I have a legitimate business that I need to maintain and run, and I need these guys fresh and sharp. I don't think you can even do it. I don't think you can rebuild the engine, get it all back in, get it tuned, and then make it to the film shoot location at sunrise the next day. The very next morning is when I needed to be ready. And he's like, but this is what I can do. I see that you're willing to do whatever it takes and you're going to try, whether it's possible or not. I have a box of used rods and pistons. We don't know the condition of the inside of your engine, but you can have this and here's some gaskets. Good luck, man. I'm sorry. So I load it back on a trailer. And then I convince a tech inspector to meet me at an off ramp on the highway to tech inspect it on the trailer. Now, he wanted me to bring it to his shop and then put it on the lift and he could really look at it, but I was able to sort of weasel him into allowing me to do it at a rest stop, never take it off the trailer, because if he heard it fire up and it was rod knocking and puking coolant, he never would have passed it. So I had to like smooth talk, and he looks at it and goes, yeah, this looks fine, signs off. I'm like, sweet. And then I jump on social media. I'm like, okay, I'm in a real bad spot. Can anybody show up at this location in Greenville, South Carolina and help me do a motor swap in this thing? A couple hours later, I show up in Greenville and there's 7 people there. People I've never met and they've never met me. They're all ready to do a motor swap. They're excited that I'm here and they're pumped for the experience. And they're like, where's the motor? Is that coming? And I pull out this cardboard box full of used pistons. I'm like, here it is. And they're like, seriously? Now it's in the evening. We're starting to tear this motor out. We're all having a good time. I am wrecked. I'm so tired. I've never tried that hard at anything in my life. If you ever told me that the human body was even capable of this level of sleep deprivation and still have some level of coherence, I would not believe you. We stayed up all night and swapped out new used rods and pistons. I measured, a year later and the crank was actually bent, but we got it running. I made it to the film shoot location 2 minutes before sunrise, which is exactly when I was supposed to be there. This had the tune on it that blew it up. And now I'm on day 3 of absolutely zero sleep. When I sit down in the chair, because they want to get some narration for my little documentary series. So the first day of filming was just my narration and telling my story. And then the very following day at sunrise, we had to actually race. So I am like a zombie sitting in this chair, and we've got these guys asking me these stupid questions. And I can tell that they're asking these specific questions in a way to tell the story that they want me to tell with my words. It was just bugging me, and I wanted to throw them off as much as I could. So they're like, so what's your strategy for winning in a 4-wide drag race? I'm like, you race your own race. That's the strategy. So I was like, that light turns green, I'm gonna turn right, take everybody out. Because the whole time I've been telling them, I was like, I don't give a fuck about the truck. It's not about the truck. It's about the people. The quality of build is secondary to the quality of people who've been involved in the story of the build. I'm like, I'll wreck the truck. I don't care. And then I was like, when the light turns green, I'm gonna turn right and take everybody out. And like, you and I laugh, but these guys, their face turned white. They were like scared. And I was like, it got really awkward. I was like, just kidding, your face. Oh man, joking. Anyways, I'm gonna do my best to keep traction and put my foot on the floor. So then we like awkwardly moved on. A little bit later, they were like, okay, Josh, we want to do some rolling shots and we want you to follow the camera car. Camera car was just a rental minivan. They wanted me to do a flyby. They had the side door open and they had their $40,000 red camera sticking out the side, and they're getting me flying by. And we got a walkie-talkies. They're like, do it again, little faster. Little faster. They did it like 3-4 times, and finally I realized what they want. And they want me to like haze the tires by them. I've never driven a vehicle with 1,100 horsepower. And I've never driven this truck. It's all new suspension. It's all new. It's a brand new vehicle. I've never driven it. I had a fully automatic transmission, not a manual valve body. So I lay into it and I start hazing the tires. We're doing like 55 miles an hour. And I was just going to cool guy right by him. It started spinning the tires and automatically it shifted the gears. And next thing you know, I'm up in overdrive spinning the tires at highway speed. And so the tires are doing like 200 miles an hour and the vehicle's doing 55. And I get a little bit sideways, no big deal, let off the throttle like you normally would, it catches traction. Well, the problem is the tires are going so much faster than road speed that you let off the throttle, and now it's only doing 150 mile an hour burnout. I ended up in this tank slapper. So I'm at highway speed, I'm 90 degrees in the highway, and my hat blows off and right out the window, and I T-bone the camera car. And I hit the cameraman that was hanging out trying to film me drive by. So now we're all in the median and it's the biggest shit show. And my splitter, my bumper, everything's wrapped under the truck. I totaled the camera car, and we're in the median, and there's all these like purple hair filmmakers. They're like, "Oh my God, is your car okay?" And I'm like, they've never done this before. I'm like, you're talking to a guy who's dealt with this shit. They've never had anything like this in their life happen, so they don't know what to do. I'm like, first responders are going to be here. The state police are going to be here. Fire truck, tow truck. They're not letting me drive this thing out of here because this thing, even when it was in what I would consider perfect functioning order, most people would believe it shouldn't be on the street because it's ridiculous. Now it's wrecked, and I wrecked somebody else. They're not letting me drive this. I got my bumper that's like wrapped into my wheel on the side, and I'm trying to pull it out after I make sure everybody's okay. Like everybody's fine, and they're all like kind of freaking out a little bit. And they're like, "Does your car drive?" I was like, "Yeah." I had no idea if it drove. And they're like, "Okay, well, if you want to meet us back at the shop, we'll see you there." I was like, "Peace out." And I was going to skid out of sight if I had to because I wanted nothing to do with that scene that was about to happen. So I was able to get out of there and I pull into the shop, and there was a real somber tone when I pulled in, and the whole front of the truck is wrecked, and we got a race in the morning. We get back, we had an awkward lunch. They come up to me and they're like, "Okay, the next thing we need is a ride along. So we need one of our cameramen to ride with you and get some interview footage. And some of the things you said in that interview, referencing me saying, 'I don't care, I'll wreck the truck and take people out.' And then what just happened, they really thought I was a full blown maniac. I didn't feel comfortable telling them that, 'Listen, lady, I have stayed up for 9 days straight, only got 2.5 hours of sleep. And then following that, 3 days of absolutely zero sleep, none. And like somehow I am still mostly like clear in my cognition. But like obviously I'm not all there. And I've never driven this truck. It's a brand new truck. So I had the smooth talk, like, yeah, no, I know, I understand. But we ended up finishing the day out. At the very end, they wanted me to test my modification. And my modification was just cutting my wheel wells open, throwing some big slicks on there for more traction. I got one test hit in, and it was like, I just did a giant number 11 smoky burnout. And I was like, well, that didn't bite at all. And then it was like at dusk. And as soon as I did that one pull, they got it on film. They were like, "Okay, we're done. See you later." And the whole crew just vanished. I was like, "Oh, okay, then this is done. I guess they got their shot and see you later." I'm like, well, I've never driven this truck. And I have from now, dusk, until sunrise to get this thing dialed in to make a dig, like to pull from a stop. So I made like 1 or 2 hits, and it was like pushing through the converter. It was spinning the tires, and just it was just a disaster. And I made one pull from 0 to probably 150, and then panicking, I thought I heard the motor making noise. I have so much on the line here. I have marketing partners that have invested in this. I have friends, I have strangers that have all busted their tail and pushed themselves to the limit. I've never pushed myself this hard in my entire life. And if you asked me if I could do it again, I would say no. But like the reality is, maybe. And I didn't want to let everybody down. So I would rather show up at that race unprepared to launch from a stop and blow it up on the track than to blow it up the night before and not be able to even make a pass. These stories of adversity, it's like, yes, this is my own subjective experience of that event, but I wasn't alone in this. This was a community that came together to help pull off this initiative. We had the objective of building this badass race car out of a rusty pile of crap. And I think that we did it, but we defied all odds. It's like we all broke down to almost nothing, and we did it. I didn't win, but man, was it awesome. Those are the qualities that I look for in the people that we support with my company, Grind Coffee Co. We want to support the people who are willing to go above and beyond for a greater purpose.
If you're ready for your next adventure, you're gonna need the right car, and the best way to buy your next car is with the help of Premier Financial Services. The simple lease from Premier Financial is the most powerful tool in the world of exotic car financing. You get all the benefits of a traditional loan, like the ability to accumulate equity, pay it off at any time, and they give you a perfectly easy to understand amortization table, but you also get the benefits of a lease, the low payment, the flexible terms, the low down payments, but also you get to use some certain tax benefits that leases entitle you to. They've taken great care of me, and I know they'll take great care of you, so check them out now at the link in the description below.